To build a new item record in NetSuite, we must begin by identifying the New Items page. You can get there through the banner by going to Lists, Accounting, Items, and New. Everybody's screen is a little bit different. If you don't have a Lists icon, you may have one that says Cases. In this case, you would go to Cases, Other Lists, Items, and New. Or to avoid that, you can simply type New Items into the global search and go to the New Items page. This will direct you to a page that lists the different types of items available to build. Primarily, we use two item types: assembly/bill of materials items and inventory items. Any item that you build will likely be one of these two. If you are not sure which one to build, think about whether that part is a part that can be disassembled, built from components that we keep in stock, or substituted for another item that is currently in the building. If any of those things are true, build an assembly bill of materials item. If none of those things are true, you can build a standard inventory item. If you're not 100% sure, it is always safest to default to assembly bill of materials. Once you've arrived at the new item record form, all we need to do is start filling in information. The first box necessary is going to be the item name/number. For the sake of the illustration, we'll call this part test. As you tab over, the next box is a description box. Here's where we'll provide a full and complete description of the new item record that we're building. Please note as you look further down the screen, in addition to a standard description box, there is a purchase description box. NetSuite allows you to provide a different description for things that are customer-facing than from things that are vendor-facing. So anything you put in the main description field will appear on sales orders, quotes, or anything else the customer would see, whereas whatever you put in the purchase description field will appear on purchase orders or anything the vendor would see. Most of the new item records that you build will have the same description for both the sales and purchasing side, and if that's the case, you need only fill in this top box. Below the description box is the vendor code abbreviation. Here's where we'll enter our 3-digit code that indicates the primary manufacturer for the part number that we're building. So if we're building a MAC valve part, we'll use vendor code abbreviation MAC. For a complete list of vendor code abbreviations available, simply click on the two down arrows on the right side of the box and then on the word list, and a list will pull up for you. At the top of the next column, you'll see a box that says surcharge exempt. This is simply a checkbox that allows us to bypass any surcharges that are associated with a customer account when this item is added to an order. You will always want to click the surcharge exempt box for any item that is a MAC or PhD item, as both of those vendors prohibit us from applying surcharges to their items. A little further down in that column, you'll find the competitive cross-reference box. This box is an informational box that allows you to reference any competitive crosses for the part number you are building. For example, if you're building a Komatsu fitting and you happen to know that is a direct cross to a Norgren fitting, you can put that Norgren part number there in the competitive cross-reference field. An additional advantage to this is that this cross-reference field is available in the global search. So if I type in that Norgren part number, I will get both that Norgren part number and the new Komatsu part number that we're building. Moving down to the classification subtab, The first thing we'll look for here is it'll ask what subsidiary we want this part to apply to. Always set your subsidiary to parent company and make sure Include Children is checked. Below that, we have a vendor list price field. This is where you will enter whatever the list price the vendor charges is, and below that, the percentage discount we receive. So for this example, we'll say the vendor list price is $100 and the vendor discount is 30%. Please note the vendor list price is not necessarily the price at which we will sell this part. We will not do anything with these fields here in the middle, but please note that there is an option to add any notes to your part record if you'd like. Scrolling down, we'll find a blue banner with 13 different tabs associated with it. Not to worry, when building a part number, we only need the first 3 tabs. Let's start here at the Purchasing/Inventory tab and the Item Cost Detail subsection. The only field we'll need to fill in on this page is going to be the purchase price for the item. The purchase price is how much we will actually pay for this part when buying it from our vendor. Purchase price is a function of vendor list price with the vendor discount applied. So for this illustration, if the vendor list price is $100 and they give us 30% off, we take 100, multiply it by 0.7, and get a purchase price of $70. The tab below this is the Inventory Management subtab. The first box we see here is the Use Bins box. You will only check this box if this is a part number that you expect that we will be stocking at your or at any other warehouse. If this is an item you intend to drop ship or that we don't intend to store, there's no need to click Use Bins. I will go ahead and click this and show you how to apply the bins a little bit later on. Moving along under the Inventory Management subheading, we must next decide how we wish to replenish stock for this item. Is this an item we wish to keep a min-max on or not? That is this something we wish to order only occasionally or something we wish to keep stock in-house for? If it is an item we wish to order only occasionally, all we must do is uncheck the box next to Reorder Point Auto-Calculate. If it is an item we think we do want to keep a min-max on, we must uncheck both the box next to Reorder Point Auto-Calculate and next to Preferred Stock Level Auto-Calculate. As we scroll down, we will find a Locations subtab, which allows us to manage the inventory for each of our available locations. As we've decided that this is an item we would like to keep a min-max on, we can go into our location and enter our min under build point or reorder point and our max under preferred stock level. Once you have entered the min-max for your location, please go in and add a 0 to the build point column for each other location. Please note that even if you do not wish to have a min-max for any of the locations, you must put a 0 in the build point columns for all locations in order for this item to function properly within Netsuite's order entry and purchasing system. Moving along to the bin numbers subtab, remember that we selected the Use Bins option for this part, and as a result, we're required to add a bin location and bin number to the item record. So, in order to do that, simply type in your location name and then select your bin number from the drop-down box provided. Once you are through with that, make sure you check preferred for this location. Once a bin number is selected as the preferred bin, anytime an item is received, it will automatically be received into this bin. If you have use bins checked but do not have a preferred bin for your location, you must complete an inventory detail every time you wish to ship or receive the item. Next to the bin numbers field is the components field. In the components field, we can list all of the components that make up the part number that we're building. This component field is only available if you've selected the assembly/bill of materials items type. It will not appear at all if you are building an inventory item. If you know the components that make up your parent item, simply list them here. If you are unsure of the components, you can use part number bom.not.built as a temporary placeholder. Next to your Components tab, there is a Vendors tab where you can select the preferred vendor from which you like to purchase this item. We called this a Mac Valves item, so let's call our vendor Mac Valves. Note that it will default to the primary subsidiary for that vendor. If this is an item that you think will be purchased by both Franklin and Sloan, please make sure you add a preferred vendor for both subsidiaries. So again, we'll add our vendor record, select our subsidiary, and hit Preferred. We'll do that for Franklin, and then we'll do it again for Sloan. The preferred vendor on an item record is the vendor to which a dropship PO will automatically generate if you select that option. Once you've added vendors for both of your subsidiaries, we are through with the Purchasing and Inventory tab and can move along to the Sales and Pricing tab. Here's where we'll enter what the actual sale price for our item is going to be. So while we said our vendor list price was $100 and our vendor discount was 30%, we now must decide how much do I wish to sell this part to the customer. Most of the time, your sales price will be the same as your vendor list price. In this case, $100. Once you have entered an amount in the base price column, all the applicable discount prices will populate automatically. To the right-hand side, we'll find a column called Pricing Group. This Pricing Group functionality is very important when it comes to getting any appropriate discounts for a customer within NetSuite. So you must add a pricing group to every item to which one is applicable. In this case, we have a Mac valve part number, and we know that test, let's say for the sake of the conversation, is a Mac Dundee valve. In that case, we'll select pricing group Mac DV for Mac Dundee valve, and then select out. Finally, we'll select our Accounting subtab. Under no circumstances should you ever change any of the accounts that automatically populate under the Accounting subtab. In this case, the only thing you must do is select from the tax schedule whether this is taxable or non-taxable. Every new item that you build should be selected as taxable, meaning tax can be applied, even if it won't necessarily be applied. Once you have filled out all of these forms, all you need to do is hit the Save button at the top, and your new item has been created. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to your training team member.